All right, I'm joined today by Nathan Howard. Nathan is the head of business development at Scalara, who is a subsidiary of DeFi Pulse and the methodologist on our DeFi Pulse Index and Flexible Leverage Indices series. Nathan, thanks for joining us.
Hey, nice to be here, Jordan.
So tell everyone a little bit about Scalara. What is it that you guys do?
Sure. So Scalara is the index publishing arm of DeFi Pulse. We consider ourselves the first crypto native index publisher. And what I mean by that is, we seek opportunities to publish indices that make use of on-chain integrations and specifically on-chain tooling, because we think that's superior and unlocks more opportunity for investment. So while, look, we definitely model ourselves after traditional finance index publishers, we're also always on the lookout to leverage the benefits that DeFi affords.
So we're here really today to talk about true decentralized finance protocols and how that's held up over the last 6 or 7 months. Now, obviously, the market has tanked and we've seen a cascading bit of liquidations and there's been quite a bit of chaos, but in large part, DeFi seems to be doing pretty well. Can you explain why that is and just kind of how it's done?
Sure. Yeah, look, and I mean, the backdrop, right, is a macroeconomic environment that's turned around. All risk assets are being subject to volatility in a bearish direction. And that has actually even hit crypto a little bit harder. So you might be tempted to say like DeFi or applications built on crypto are suffering, but I would say what's been unique to crypto is some pain and a liquidity crisis brought on not by DeFi, but by some centralized institutions such as Voyager, Celsius, and BlockFi. And really, it's those companies taking some customer deposits in fiat, and then either loaning it out to hedge funds like Three Arrows Capital, actually specifically them, and then also deploying some of those customer funds in the Anchor protocol on Luna's ecosystem, which itself has also collapsed. These are things that may have marketed themselves as DeFi, but I wouldn't call real DeFi protocols because they have some opacity in how those funds are used. Whereas real DeFi is entirely viewable on chain. It's transparent, and you can see at any given time who owes money and what is backing that. So contrast what's gone on with Voyager, Celsius, BlockFi with some of the lending protocols like Aave, Compound, or even stablecoin, collateral-backed stablecoin like DAI, made by Maker, and you see two very different stories. One, there's a lot of questions about who owes who what. There's a bankruptcy proceeding going on with Voyager. Lots of doubt there. On the other, in DeFi, despite the fact that prices have gone down, liquidations have been fairly orderly, and the system is held up well. So a bad time for prices has actually really been a testament to the financial plumbing of DeFi.
And you mentioned a few protocols that perhaps have done well. Let's take a step back and view it at just a use case level. What DeFi use cases have made it through this market and perhaps maybe even come out of it a little bit stronger than before?
Yeah, I would say three use cases that have proven resilient, in both bullish times and bearish times, right? The first is decentralized stablecoins. So exemplar there would be DAI as the stablecoin, and then Maker as the protocol that maintains it. The second would be over-collateralized lending protocols such as Aave or Compound. And then the third would be decentralized exchanges. Best paragon there would be Uniswap. Again, these are financial use cases that have weathered a lot of volatility, both on the upside and the downside, and then proven to have worked, right, exactly as they are intended to. Whereas some of the centralized exchanges have had to pause withdrawals, or the Coinbases of the world may go down. DeFi has 24/7 uptime, and works exactly as you're expecting it to.
So you mentioned a few protocols that worked in DeFi. There was this wave back at the end of 2021, early 2022 that pegged itself to DeFi 2.0. Right? We're thinking about Olympus, you're thinking about Terra Luna. Ultimately, what did Scalara decide to do when it came to those DeFi 2.0 type protocols?
Sure. Look, I think one of the challenges of being, a methodologist for a DeFi index is that the space moves very quickly, and the narratives on the space actually move even faster, right? So what is capturing attention on Twitter probably moves past actual substantive innovation in DeFi at any given point. And look, we saw that last year with the rise of Olympus DAO, and then all of the Ohm forks, that did prompt this DeFi 2.0, right? And we were in the position of evaluating the mechanism, and taking a look to see whether those types of protocols fall into a blue chip category and should be included. Now, fortunately, to save ourselves from too much pressure, there is a time element to how long a protocol needs to be around before it's eligible. But that doesn't stop people from saying, like, how do you have a DeFi pulse index without including the likes of Ohm or Luna or Terra? And so that's difficult, but it just requires us to be patient and to stick to our methodology and to stick to how we view any of these instruments as a passive investment, or as an investment for passive holders of an index like DPI.
Despite all that 2022 has thrown at us, and it's certainly thrown a lot, there's still a lot to be excited about in this space. What keeps you coming back? What is it about DeFi that you're most excited about?
A part of what I like about, a couple of old memes that crypto Twitter has forgotten, right, is, one of which is a bear is a time to build, which is a little bit silly. We shouldn't be cheering negative price action in space. But another is, I feel like earlier last year, a lot of people were talking about money Legos, right? And so forgive the cop-out answer of, like, I'm excited about what people haven't even come up with yet, but like I do genuinely think what we're doing in DeFi is building primitives and building blocks for the next wave of innovation, right? And so people loved the concept of money Legos, talked about it for a while, and then we built Ponzi-nomics, and wealth flashing took over the narrative. But it still makes a ton of sense because technological adoption requires a lot of intersecting factors to hit a growth phase. Like, people could conceive of smartphones calling cars when smartphones came out, but it took a lot of things to coming together for it to actually happen. And now that's changed the world. It's certainly changed the way that I've traveled, right? I now rely on my phone to get me from point A to point B when I go to conferences. But it took mapping services, a critical mass of people with phones, and companies willing to put on regulatory risk, and then some time. We're in those early innings, right, of a technological innovation. We're putting together the building blocks, but I'm really excited for other people to surprise me with new ways of bringing that together, and really just leveraging all of the possibility of an open and transparent financial system.
Boom.